Does Megumi have two curse techniques? Let's talk about it, but spoilers beware. Alright, so I am of course talking about the possibility that Megumi will inherit Sukuna's curse technique Shrine, just like Yuji did. And shout out to AJ for the question today. Thank you for the support. So let's break this down. Alright, so Yuji was Sukuna's vessel and he inherited Shrine, so it should logically follow that Megumi as Sukuna's vessel will also inherit Shrine, right? Maybe. Anytime this discussion pops up, the first thing a lot of people like to point to is the fact that Yuji is the grandson of the reincarnation of Sukuna's twin brother. And not only that, he was specifically designed to be Sukuna's perfect vessel. And on top of that, he also didn't have a curse technique originally. So those three things may be contributing to the fact that he was able to inherit Shrine. And none of those things are true of Megumi, so he won't be able to. But I don't think we can just jump to that conclusion. And that's because of what Gojo told us at the beginning of this manga. Gojo, who possesses the six eyes and is able to understand cursed energy far better than anyone else, right? And he looks at Yuji and says, "You're unable to use it now, but in due time, your body will learn Sukuna's curse technique." And Gojo at this point had no idea that Sukuna was the grandson of the reincarnated twin of Sukuna, nor that Yuji had been designed to be Sukuna's vessel. So that information wasn't relevant here. Gojo was only basing this on the fact that Sukuna was within Yuji's body, and that alone would engrave the technique on his body in due time. That means that Megumi does not need to be related or genetically engineered to inherit Shrine. The only relevant contention there is whether or not him already having the 10 shadows would preclude him from this. But I don't think it does, and we can even point to Yuji because he technically had blood manipulation before he awakened Shrine, and that didn't prevent him from unlocking it. But an even better example would be Kinjaku, somebody who we know has swapped bodies multiple times throughout his life and has picked up multiple curse techniques in the process. So in my opinion, Megumi could absolutely inherit Shrine, but what it's ultimately going to boil down to is just whether or not Sukuna spent enough time in Megumi's body. Because we know that it just takes time, right, according to Gojo. And we also know that Sukuna was possessing Yuji for far longer than he did Megumi. So Megumi just might not have ever hit that sweet spot, which would have allowed him to unlock it. But what's interesting to consider here is that Yuji was a prison for Sukuna, right? So Sukuna was basically never in control of Yuji's body, never got the opportunity to wield Shrine except for a couple of occasions. But on the other hand, Sukuna was basically always in control of Megumi. So Sukuna used Shrine way more in Megumi, even though he didn't spend as much time in Megumi. So if that's part of the equation, like if that factors into it and the experience Megumi has wielding Shrine would allow his body to inherit it quicker, then he might have it. Now, personally, I think that makes sense. So I think it's likely that Megumi will awaken Shrine at some point down the road, maybe after he hits a few black flashes, just like Yuji did. But obviously, JJK is over, right? So in the absence of a sequel or a fan book where Gege specifically addresses this, we'll probably never have a hard answer on this. So it's just whatever you want it to be, right? Maybe he didn't spend enough time, so he didn't unlock it. But I don't think there's anything in the story that prevents this from being a possibility.